Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is determining comps. Comps, or also known as comparables, are sold properties used to help you determine the value of a property. I personally never trust a computer-generated comp list, for they are typically radius-generated. I like to pull my comps from a map search so I can use comps in that specific neighborhood. If you were to trust the radius search, it may be pulling properties from an adjoining neighborhood, which can skew your numbers. When choosing comps, you want to stay away from the following: active or pending properties, sold more than 6 months ago, not in the same school district, over or under 20% difference in square footage, different view like, say, a mountain or a lake, built more than 10 years earlier or later, and finally, different beds or baths. If your property is next to a busy road, you will want to lower your price a little. If yours has a garage and others don't, raise the price a little. If you pulled comps when you purchased your property to determine the ARV, or after repair value, you definitely want to pull the most recent comps before you go to list it, especially if it's been a few months. With the way the market has been lately, you will probably be in for a nice surprise and a larger profit. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us my new friend, Brandon Cobb. Brandon is the CEO at HBG Capital and an expert real estate consultant and investor. He has been featured in the REI Wealth magazine and Forbes. He's here to share some actionable advice, I love that, about using real estate investing as a way to create passive income, how to hire A-plus rock stars, and systems and processes you can use to grow your business. So, welcome to the show, Brandon.
Jen, I love the energy. I appreciate you having me. It is an honor.
It is so great to meet you, and you're not far from me. You are in Tennessee. I'm in North Carolina. We're like touching, and I am super happy to have you on the show. So give us a little background with you. How'd you get involved with real estate?
Oh, man. So co-owner of HBG Capital. We're a real estate investment firm. A lot of people will hear the words capital in a lot of people's names. We're a little different as we look for unique opportunities in the market. And right now we see a lot of opportunity in affordable new construction. Before we got into that, I was a medical device sales rep. So had a W-2, was working crazy hours. That niche loves to hire young, motivated people that are single so that they can pretty much just work. I joked that the job was more of a lifestyle and not a job. But that was my dream job. Really loved what I did. It was really neat being in surgery every day. I thought I was the hot guy on the block, getting to wear scrubs every day to work and sitting in surgery and working with a lot of cool surgery centers and doctors. And then one Friday, I got sat down at Starbucks and promptly fired from my job, which was a big surprise because I did not see it coming, but didn't probably would have never become an entrepreneur, to be honest with you, by myself. It was that kick that I really needed to kind of get the ball rolling. You know, I was in a situation where, you know, I had a little bit of money saved up. I'd always lived below my means, did a good job of that. My parents did a good job of really just beating that in my head. Save money, don't spend money. And gave a shot at starting multiple businesses. I had like a motivational blog. I was starting a course on how to help other people break into medical device sales. And I was also doing real estate. Real estate was the first one that sort of took off. Found a mentor and now business partner to this day. We started flipping houses and wholesaling houses. And that really just took off after we did the first deal. We just pretty much dumped all that money back into the company. And every single deal we did after that, we really didn't take a lot of profits the first 2 years. We just literally dumped all the money back into the business in the form of coaching, masterminds, marketing, getting in those rooms with people who were doing bigger and better things than us that we could learn from. And that's what really catapulted us and allowed us to take off. And so now we've got a whole acquisition arm, the house buying guys that's seller facing. We find all of our own deals off market. We have a vertically integrated construction company. So we manage everything in-house so we don't come across a bad builder or someone else. And then we have our HBG Capital company that focuses on raising capital for these deals so the other two entities can manage it. So medical device sales rep turned real estate developer. I would have never imagined 8 years ago, if you'd asked me if I was doing real estate, would you think you'd be doing real estate? I would have bet every dime against it. So it's crazy. It's been a fun journey.
Like, I feel so many people that I speak with that it's the same story. And I was never fired. Like, no one's going to fire me now. I'm my own boss. But, working in corporate America briefly, I was a school teacher for 16 years. And then I woke up one day and realized I hated children. So then I went into health insurance and an equally abusive industry, and was climbing up the corporate ladder, realizing I'm halfway up the wrong ladder. And I saw so many people around me get fired, and I was like, I do not want to deal with that. I want to be in control of my financial destination. So I love it. I feel like a lot of people have the same story, and, it's just taking that leap of faith and going for it. So very impressive. What does HBG stand for, by the way?
House buying guys.
Oh, I like that.
That was the first company we started. So every spinoff company was like, well, what do we call it? Well, how about HBG? So everything will be HBG from here on out.
I love that. Actually, I work with a lot of people just starting in real estate, and I help them to determine their business name, and it's something that you got to live with forever, so my business is Jolific. It's my last name, Josie, plus the word prolific. So we did a mash together, and it's Jolific. So we have Jolific Homes, Jolific Properties, Jolific Construction as well. And so, yes, I love that. House buying guys. Very, very cool. So you are going to get into some awesome topics here, because I just know you are going to drop some major content for the listeners. So let's start with your team, and how do you hire these A-plus rock stars?
Yeah. So how do we hire teams? So systems and processes. So there's a really good book called Traction by Gino Wickman. He also wrote, there's a really good Fable book that kind of goes along with it that tells the story of a business that implements traction. Get a Grip. That's it. That one's really good too. So we pulled some of the stuff from that as far as a structure. So when we hire, we love to use WiseHire. WiseHire is a really unique tool. It's $200 a month. We pay to have additional monthly ad spend to keep all of our ads at the top, but you pay WiseHire and they go post the ads across all these different platforms for you. So you don't have to worry about managing Monster or Indeed or whatever, ZipRecruiter. They go and they post it on there, and they put a nice, neat little funnel with everyone. They make them fill out a DISC assessment, which is a great tool to use for hiring. Mm-hmm. And it tells whether or not they're going to be like a fit based on their DISC profile, like right off the bat. So it's really neat having a whole list of people that have filled everything out, automatically telling you whether or not their DISC fits. So we just drag those people over, have a good DISC, and then we'll reach out and we'll set up an in-person interview if they pass the resume test. So the resume test is nothing crazy. We're just looking for experience. So if we're hiring a project manager, for example, I want to see that he has project management experience. I'm also looking for whether or not he's paid attention to detail in his resume. So are there misspellings? How organized is his resume? You'd be very surprised at the resumes you get. Actually, I just sent one the other day to my fiance. She gets a kick out of all these resumes, and it's like the guy, I think, put in there that he can lift heavy things. So very interesting to see. Anyway, we set up a first phone call, and the phone call is very brief. It usually doesn't go longer than 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And here's what we're asking. I just fill them out. First question is, tell me what you learned about, our company or this position, while you're getting ready for this? And so all I'm looking for is, did they do any research? And so that's the first question. If they haven't done no research, they don't even know the position that they're really interviewing for, or they don't understand what the company does, like, they're out immediately, right? Take 2 minutes, log on to the website, figure out, get prepared for this. The second question that we ask is, what do you want to get out of this position that you're not getting out of your current position? So there's got to be some kind of motivation there. I want to see if they really have a trajectory of what they're looking for and where they want to go. So that's really important. If they don't really know where they want to go, I'm not interested in those people. The third question we ask is, why are you looking for something new? And I'll usually do some follow-up questions here. I'm really looking for motivations here. Did they get fired? Did they quit? Why did they quit? Because if those are some of the reasons why, if they came on board, that they would experience some of those same problems, like, I know they're not going to work out. So I want to know why. Fourth question I ask is, what are your salary requirements? And I usually preface this with a joke, a couple $1 million a year work. And we all laugh, and it kind of puts them at ease. And I just want to make sure it's a fit, because a lot of times you can hop on with somebody, or the worst thing possible is you schedule a 1.5 hour in-person interview and find out that they need to make twice as much as you're offering. So you just want to make sure that they're a fit from that standard. And then very last, what questions do you have for me? So if they don't ask me any questions, they didn't prepare.
Right.
I'm looking for the level and the sophistication of the questions that they're asking me. So boom, that's the phone interview. So the next is what we do. And this is actually something that we've recently implemented before the in-person interview. Normally we would go straight to an in-person interview if we like that person, but actually now I send a video to them and I ask them to answer several questions. And I'm just looking for core values. So if you haven't defined your core values yet in your organization, that's fine, but definitely take the steps to do that, because you want to make sure that you're creating the right culture. And part of building the right culture is having the right set of core values. So for example, one of our core values is growth. So in this video, I asked them, what are the past 5 podcasts or books that you've listened to that have had an impact on you?
Love it.
And if they struggle to come up with an answer, if they're not reading books, or it's been years since they've read a book or podcast, they're not a fit. They don't have that growth mentality. They're not growing. They're not trying to get better. Everybody in our organization is growing and trying to get better, right? That's what I love about everyone. Everyone's very, very interested in doing this. So that would be an example of a question we'd ask in that video. And then we ask some other stuff where, we're extreme ownership. Tell me about a time where you took a problem that wasn't your fault and owned it. So we're just trying to elicit core values. So 2 things that we do once we find out that, hey, it sounds like they're a fit on the core values, then we'll schedule an in-person interview. And this is really designed to, one, if there was any kind of hesitation in the core values, I want to figure that out during this interview. And I need to assess whether or not they have the skills. So how do we do that? Behavioral style interviewing. And 2, we never hire anybody that can't teach us something about the position. Too often people fall in the trap of thinking like, okay, I need to hire this person. I really like them. I need to train them. I need to teach them everything. No, I'm a big who, not how guy. Who, not how. Great book written by Dan Sullivan. That is not hiring someone. It's hiring someone that can teach you something. So if we're hiring a project manager or a superintendent, or I'm hiring an executive assistant to help manage my schedule, if they can't explain or teach me something in the interview process on how to make what we're doing better, I don't hire that person. There are people who are more sophisticated, skilled at the position you're currently hiring. So we'll use something called behavioral style interview. And what that is instead of asking questions like, tell me about your greatest strength, tell me about your greatest weakness, we'll say something along the lines of, if it's, let's say we're hiring a superintendent. Tell me about a time where a contractor was not performing and you had to fire them and find somebody else to fill that role. How did you make the decision to fire them? What was the trigger? What steps did you take to find somebody new? How did you vet that contractor? I want them to tell me stories. All our interview process is I want them to tell me stories about stuff they did. I don't want subjective answers to, my greatest strength is blah. I'm a perfection freak and I work too often. No, that's not works. We want stories that tell the skills. So after that point, we do an in-person interview. And then they'll actually do a ride along. So we'll pay them to come work for a day. If they already work for an organization, we make them do a work day on the weekend. If they don't work for someone perfect, we just plug them in. I just want to work with them for a day. I just want to get a feel for what's the
that
culture.
Yep.
Do I like working with them? They'll do a ride along with the project managers and actually go to the sites and they'll sniff out whether or not they know what they can do or not. Right. Mm-hmm. So we're going to make sure that you can actually perform and do the stuff that you say that you're going to be able to do. And at that point, if they've hired and they've met all the team and they've gone through all the interviews and we still like them, then at that point, we'll make them a job offer. So.
What a great system. And you said something that really struck home with me, because we are still thinking about if we want to hire a project manager right now. We have projects going on, and my husband is the GC, and it's just getting like a little overwhelming. So in my brain, I wanted to hire someone young that we could train. But I love how you said you want someone to teach you something. I think that is amazing. I'm totally stealing that. It's just one of those things where that's where we were headed in our business. But now we are actually trying to focus more towards commercial properties with 5 or more units. And we want to do that value add. And we just touched on it right before we were talking, right before we hit record. And talk to me about commercial. How does one get started buying 50 unit building or something?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if somebody was really green and starting out, and again, we're by no means super experts in this field. We got into it roughly a year and a half ago.
How many doors do you have right now? Come on now.
387.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, but and I'll nuance that, and I'll say that we don't own all of that ourselves. So we have some partners in the deals. So here's how it works in the commercial world, especially with these larger deals. So we focus on Class B and Class C value add multifamily. Why do we like that? Because when the economy takes a dump, then people transition from those more expensive living arrangements into those more affordable living arrangements, right? But they don't want the D and F class war zones where they're going to get shot. So we want everything we do is all centered around how can we survive another 2008, not just survive, but thrive during the 2008. So in the commercial world, especially in the apartments, you've got a whole market of operators and sponsors. And so you've got operators that have built a business probably very similar to, yours and mine in the house flipping and wholesaling world, where there's a lot of marketing involved, there's selling, there's negotiations, you put it under contract, you do the due diligence. And so you've got these operators that have built these fantastic businesses on finding these assets, but they haven't built a business on raising capital, which is what you need. Whereas you also have these sponsors. Now, these sponsors have done a phenomenal job of building a capital raising business. They know how to vet deals. They know how to vet operators. They know how to raise money, but they haven't built the operating side of the business. Now, there are few companies out there that are vertically integrated, which means they do it all in-house, right? That would be an example of us in Middle Tennessee with new construction. We manage it all in-house. We find it, we finance it, and we manage it. But in the commercial world, we don't do that. And the reason we don't do that vertical integration commercial world is because we have to open up a bigger backyard to find the deals we want. So that means we focus on the Southeast. And specifically what we do is because we've already got the capital raising arm built out for all of our projects here, there's some projects that aren't a good fit. So investors that are looking for reducing their taxable income, they really should be taking advantage of depreciation benefits. We steer them more towards these multifamily deals. So what we did, and this is how I started out, I highly recommend people invest in other people's syndication deals.
Right.
Or multifamily deals before they do it themselves, so they can get a feel for everything. Also, they can go on our website, hbgcapital.net, and get our free ebook, 100 Questions Investors Should Be Asking Before Investing Passively. Covers every question you should ask a sponsor or operator before investing in their multifamily deal. Turnkey, hands off. So what we do is we partner with world-class operators because we're the sponsor in these deals. So you've got a market of sponsors and operators, and they're all looking for each other. Operators want sponsors that can perform and raise the capital. Sponsors want operators who can perform and protect their investors' capital. So there's a market of these two different types of companies looking for each other in the commercial world. So in order for us to finance a deal that an operator brings us, that operator has to have at least 10 years experience. They have to have at least 5 exits underneath their belt. They have to have the same core values we do. And it has to be the type of deal we're working for. So if they bring us a Class A luxury apartment unit, we're not going to do that, right?
Right.
Because we're Class B and Class C, and there's got to be some value at opportunity. So that's how we got into it. Again, it's who, not how. We're looking for those people instead of us having to build out an entire business and learn all the nuances with this commercial business. We just want to be the capital side. We know what good deals look like, and we want to be the sponsor for them.
So to dumb this down, you are basically providing the funding for the operator, correct?
Correct.
And so I just showed you prior to the call that I have my 500 letters going out, and it's for individual mom and pop people who own multifamily in the state of North Carolina. And so when I get one of those deals, I could go to you and say, I need help financing this.
Yeah, potentially. If it's a fit and it's what we're looking for, then yeah. And there's a ton of other sponsors out there that you could do the exact same thing with. And
I don't have 10 years experience though. We're only 5 years in, but my husband's 5 years. So 5 + 5, would that work? So, all right. I love that. I just joined an organization called Legacy Family, and it has, those people paired up for you and a lot of connections. It's a really great organization, and I'm like ready to sink my teeth in. I'm done with these smaller projects and having to run across town and, drop off faucets here and, find out who lost the key at this project. And it's one of those things where I'm definitely ready to move to that level. So I appreciate you sharing that. And it's great for the listeners to hear that there are people like you, who have these people who have money that need to park it somewhere. And that's like a big holdup for a lot of people getting involved in real estate, is thinking you have to have money, your own money, to buy real estate and do this. So awesome. I want to get into some of your systems and processes though. So let's dive just a little bit into this. When you are building a business, for example, people just starting out, what are some good business systems that you have?
Oh man, where can we start? So basically a business is a big funnel, right? So you've got the top, everyone's seen that. I've seen that picture of like the top of the funnel is really wide and then it narrows down. So depending on which business you want to talk about, you want to talk about the direct to seller buying these things, acquisitions business, or you want to talk about the capital raising business?
Let's talk about rentals. Let's talk about passive income.
Okay. Rentals, passive income. So if I'm building a business that's geared towards acquiring rentals, what I want to do is the first thing is you've got to get some leads in the database, right? You got two methods of doing this. One, sweat equity, or two, money. So if you got money, you can do all these great marketing techniques. They all work. There's cold calling. There's mailers. Really popular mailers are probably the most popular, mailing absentee lists, probate lists, evictions list, tax delinquency lists, all these
pre-foreclosure. Yes.
Pre-foreclosure. You're looking for motivation, right? Very popular. There's there's some new stuff that's come out, text blasts, ringless voicemail broadcasts. There's all this stuff you can do, but you want to make sure that you've got a good system set up to receive everything and track it. So we use CallRail. CallRail's system where we can assign phone numbers to each lead source. So each different lead source has a different phone number. So when that number rings, we know it's that particular lead source, and it stores it in a database so we can get it. Now, if you're doing this and you're first starting out, you're probably going to answer all the calls yourself, which is fine. But at some point, you're going to want to fill that lead intake position. So building the funnel down, right? We got to think of how we're going to systemize this whole thing. How can the whole funnel take care of itself eventually? So that first position you want to hire is somebody who's either answering the phones from your marketing, or they're doing some kind of sweat equity reaching out, right? So this would be, we're a big fan of like door knocking, right? Like we're laser focused in all of our marketing approaches now. We don't do quite as much of the, spending $40,000 a month anymore on marketing. Like we're very laser focused on what we're looking for and who we want to talk to. And so we figured that out and we go direct to them and we cut through all the noise. But once you have that top part of the funnel sort of systemized, the next step is your sales process. So this is getting in touch with the person once they've scheduled an appointment or they've asked to meet with you. And one of the best things you can do is bring with you on those appointments a packet about your company. One, it's going to stand out because not a lot of companies do. And in that packet, you want to have an example of a past person that you've helped, any credentials like Better Business Bureau or Google reviews, whatever is going to provide some kind of authority status that's going to make you stand out, and then maybe specifics on how you help people. What are the benefits of you, right? It's probably cash close. We can close quick, no repairs, all the benefits of the products that you have to offer. And then you want a sales system. And again, we could probably do a whole episode just going into the whole sales process.
I love that thought of the bringing your credibility deck with you, you know, and just handing it to them. I would never think to do that, or I haven't done that yet. So I love that. Keep going. Talk dirty.
Yeah, credibility packet. It's absolutely huge with your name and phone number on it. That way it sits there and they've got something that they can't lose your information. Make sure you got a sales process. Again, we could spend a whole episode on this, but you want to have a sales process when you show up that you can follow. And most importantly, after that call, you want to have a follow-up process. Now, here's where the next crucial piece of software comes in. You want some kind of CRM tool. CRM just stands for customer relationship management. How do you track all the people that you're going on appointments with? And how do you know when the last time you spoke with them and what you spoke about and when you should follow up? All that can get really crazy. We use Podio, and we pay for a third-party system called InvestorFuse. And all that is InvestorFuse basically customizes Podio specifically for real estate investors. So all the stuff you need is kind of already in there. And it basically gives you a holistic view of where all your leads are and where each one is in the funnel. So it could be from appointment scheduled to appointment complete to negotiation stage to under contract stage. So you have something you can look at and say, you know, I really need to make sure I'm giving the time and attention to these under contract and negotiation stages, because like those are the closest to a deal. Let me make sure that I'm really nailing those down. So that's like the middle part of your funnel right there. And then the very last would be, what process and system do you have in place for managing them once they're under contract? Because a business is it's sort of like the Olympics. You take the torch and the athlete runs and it hands it off to the next person, and he runs around and he hands it off to the next person. If one person drops that flame, it goes out. So in the beginning, you'll probably be managing everything. So you're the only one holding your torch, which is your customer, which is fine. But you want to make sure you've built out guides with each stage outlining what you should do. And at the very end, you want to make sure that the process with the title company is very clean. You explain to them how the transaction is going to work. The worst thing you want to happen is them to get scared about something and feel like they're making a bad deal, or they don't understand the process and they're confused, and then they back out of the deal. So making sure you explain the next steps. Hey, this is what's going to happen next. You're going to be contacted by the title company. They're going to do a title search that's going to make sure that you have that this property has clean title. You'd be surprised by how many people try to sell us their dad's house. Ha ha ha, make a little joke out of it. And after that, after we've determined there's clean title, we're going to close in X amount of days. It's going to be with cash. You're not going to have to worry about repairs. We're going to allow you X number in the days or X number of not being in the house of the days. Maybe they got to vacate, but just making sure you set the expectations that will lead up to the closing. So, and all along the way, just to confuse everybody even more, hopefully you're documenting everything you're doing.
Right.
So we have guides that are built out by each department for what we're doing. So we have scripts that the lead intakes actually follow when someone calls in. We have scripts that the sales reps follow when those come in. We've got a process for when it's under contract and communicating with the title company and everything. So documenting everything as if you could just send this document with all these videos to somebody and they could learn that department. You definitely want to be doing that along the way so that when you do make that hire, you're not spending a ton of time and effort training them.
Right. That is fantastic and just loaded with some great nuggets there for people to get super organized and make the process just seamless. So I love that. I want to ask you though, because in the beginning, I did a badassery bestowment. So do you have a little nugget that you can share before we move on to the second part of the podcast here?
Yeah. And I've kind of touched based on it. If you want to build a business, it's who, not how, right? I actually keep this book by Dan Sullivan by my desk as a constant reminder because I love to do new things and figure out new things. And I'll catch myself and I'll be like, whoa, right? You're building something. You need the who, not how. For example, right now, I'm still in charge of raising all the money. I do all the investor calls because it's very important. It's very pivotal. Right. But I've already started to make the necessary steps to backfill that position. I used to manage all the cash flow and the cash flow projections and the books and the accountants. I'm hiring a CFO to do that. So whenever you catch yourself trying to figure something out, don't ask, how do I do this? Ask, who can I find to do this?
I think that's a perfect badassery bestowment. Thank you, Brandon, for sharing that. And we're going to move on to the second part of the podcast here, and it's what makes Brandon a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So you already know about the Who Not How, so we'll kind of skip that one. But Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill had a humongous impact. I used to think that I was a victim and life was happening to me and not for me. And when I changed that moment in my life, when I realized that all my expectations turned into appreciations, my whole life changed in that moment. And that's what that book really taught me, was like, you do have the power to control your future. A lot of us use the excuse that, oh, we've got a job, we got a family, we got kids to take care of. You can do it. It is possible. You've just got to believe it.
Yes, absolutely. And sticking with your interview questions for the people you hire, what are you currently reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I am in the middle of a book called Life Force by Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And it is all about your health and all the unique unknown technology that is coming out to do everything from reverse aging to opioid-free pain treatment. I mean, it's really cool, all the stuff that's coming out. I actually just had a phlebotomist come and do a lot of blood work, and I'm getting my blood sent off to a lab to test for all these hormones and everything, because I'm trying to figure out ways to optimize my work efficiency and operate at a higher level. And so kind of excited to do this blood work, but that's what I'm currently reading right now.
I'm working on my blood alcohol level right now. I'm working on raising that. I was just watching on Netflix last night the I'm Not Your Guru, Tony Robbins. And anyway, I am a big fan. I did one of his trainings as well. So yeah, very cool. And by the way, I am reading Think Like a Monk right now. Have you read that book by Jay Shetty?
Oh no, I thought that was, I think Staying with Monks or something was by Jesse Itzler or something like that. I thought that was, no, I haven't.
No, Jesse Itzler also did the one where he invited the seal, was it Living with a Seal or something? That's what his was.
Yeah. David Goggins.
Yes. Man, I love people who read a lot of books. So thank you for letting me expand on that question. All right. The first A in badass is advice. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
You know, I've received a ton of advice when you're first starting out, because I think that's where a lot of your listeners currently are. You really need to create the problem and then solve it. Mm-hmm. So you can't do anything until you create a problem. A lot of people, they basically they prevent any forward movement from happening in the first place because they make a bunch of excuses. For example, oh, I can't put forth the effort to go find a deal because I don't have the money, right? They shoot themselves before. Go create a problem. So go find the deal. Now you got a problem. Now you need the money to go do it, right? Or go find the money. All right, this person's going to give you the money. Now you got a problem. You don't have a deal. So go create the problem first and solve it. There's not one single deal that we put under contract that I have the money sitting in my bank account ever. And we're raising $12 million this year. So it's like I perform better when I have a goal that I have to hit and everything's riding on it. So that's what I was telling them. Create the problem and solve it.
Yes. And when you are expanding and growing and changing your mindset, you are going to come across new problems, and that's a good thing. So I like that. All right. The D in badass is drive. What drives you to be successful?
You know, last year we implemented our BHAG, which is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Great book by Jim Collins. He's like, every organization needs that. And we sat down and really tried to figure out what it is that we want to do with, the money that we're making. And so we decided, because my partner is in the military, so we've always donated to, military causes, that we wanted to reduce veteran homelessness in Middle Tennessee by 90%. So we got with the Department of Veteran Affairs There's 247 homeless vets, and we want to get that number down to 25. And so next year we'll be selling this 36 townhome development, and we're actually going to be giving away one of the homes to a homeless vet. So we're super excited about that.
That's amazing. And is it something where if there's a listener out there that wants to contribute, is there some way for them to contribute to this organization, or are you just pulling it from your own company?
So this is going to be donated by our own company.
Okay.
So we're just, we're going to be building 36 townhomes. And then one of them, we're literally just going to be signing the warranty deed over to a veteran. We're going to surprise them. We're going to have a bunch of camera crews and everything. It's going to be like one of the TV shows. We've never done anything like this before. So we're real excited. Currently, we don't have like a charity or anything like that set up. So that's down the road. Right now, we're not raising other people's funds to combat veteran homelessness. We're just doing it all out of our pocket.
That is lovely. Thank you for doing that. And thank your business partner for his service as well. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Right now, I am trying to complete Seal Fit Kokoro. For those that aren't familiar with, it's called Seal Fit Kokoro. What it is it is basically Navy SEAL Hell Week for civilians. So believe it or not, if you're crazy like me, you can sign up and you can fly out to San Diego, California, where they do a lot of the SEAL trainings, and you can actually do Navy SEAL Hell Week. There's a couple alterations to it, but basically it's 50 hours of Navy SEAL work where you stay up, you do like a 20-mile hike, they're watering you down the whole time, and you work together as a team to get through the whole thing. The reason why I'm doing this crazy thing is the other people that I've spoken with and the research that I've done is when you do something super hard like this, something that you don't think is possible, and you accomplish it, all of a sudden, all those barriers that you have in your mind on all of your other goals just deteriorate. And so, whenever I've gone to, some mind altering event, I went to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery and he helped create like a mindset. Within like 2 weeks, I ran a marathon and I did all this. I hit all these business goals, all because it was just a mental block in my mind, right? Like really, you are the biggest limiting factor on where you want to go in life. Your mindset is, you got to figure out ways to manage that. So that's one way I'm trying to kind of combat my own mental performance and get to the next level. And I just like to do really hard physical stuff.
Well, I just recently bought the Oculus virtual reality headset, and I injured my rotator cuff. Is this your cuff? Whatever, your arm, from doing the lightsaber thing. Me. Oh, wow. And my chiropractor's like, Jen, I'm just not going to put down that you injured yourself in the virtual reality, because that's just embarrassing. And here you're running.
You must have been having fun.
Yeah, I was definitely having a good time. But, well, that is fantastic. Not my thing. I will sit on the sofa and, do my virtual reality, but that is amazing. And it makes me keep thinking back to Jesse Itzler when he met that Navy SEAL and they were doing like 100 something.
Bad water out in the desert of Vegas, I think Las Vegas or Nevada. Yeah.
And the guy like hurt his foot and he literally his ankle, and he literally just duct taped it and kept going. And Jesse's like, who is this guy?
The torn hamstring. He's next level. That guy's insane. I don't think his body is going to make it another 10 years.
Oh my God. Wow. All right. So the first S in badass is systems. And we talked a lot about systems. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
No, I'm going to go back to the traction thing. One of the other systems that we implement are quarterly rocks. So everyone in the organization has quarterly rocks, which are basically just goals. So, for example, my executive assistant, she has to set up at least one new investor call a week. She has to plan at least one monthly team outing, and she has to build out the accountability charts for the construction Gantt charts. So everything we do, we take the vision. What do we want to do? What do we want to hit? And then we reverse that down into steps, and just think of a step as a quarter. So reverse engineering the vision down, like you're going down a flight of stairs, and every quarter is a step towards getting to that goal. And we reverse engineer all the way down to where we are. And so we create the rocks around what needs to happen in that step. My goal this quarter is I've got to raise, I think it's $3 or $4 million or something like that.
Nice.
That's my rock, right? So when you implement all these rocks and these goals, you really get this beautiful harmony of everybody working together. And what happens is you grow really quick and you see results very quick. When that happens, everybody gets excited about that.
And listeners, if you have not purchased this book yet, it's Traction by Gino Wickman. When we went through it, we did it like a textbook, like literally just wrote out every section. And so it's a great, great book. All right, we are wrapping this up. The last S in badass is success. What does success mean to Brandon Cobb?
Having a business and a family that I'm proud of. The business is just a tool to make the income to do the things that you want in life. I spend a ton of my time with my family. I travel all the time. I just did a week in Mexico for 7 days. Every year I do a mom and son trip where we knock out something on my mom's bucket list. I do a dad-son trip every year where we knock out something on his bucket list. And I do a sibling trip with my brother and sister every year where we knock out something on our bucket list.
I love that.
So those things in my mind, I already think that I'm successful. As long as I can, make the money to live the life that I want to and help other people, I'm happy about that. One of my other big focuses is helping other people and inspiring and motivating them to create the passive income that they want so that they can live life on their own terms.
Well, I believe it. It has been such a pleasure speaking with you. What is something that is on your bucket list?
Oh, I want to go to the World Cup.
Really?
So I think my fiance is going to be out of nursing school here in September, and she really just wants to go and boom, get a job. But I'm trying to convince her to go to the World Cup in Qatar with me. I've always wanted to do that, and it only happens once every 4 years. So I'm hoping that this is the year. I want to go see 2 USA games too, not just go to the World Cup, but I got to go to 2 USA.
Well, I don't doubt it. I believe it's going to happen for you. You are fantastic, Brandon. You are such a positive person, and you are bringing all these people together for your company. And, you have a sign behind you that says, stay hungry. And what does it say underneath it?
Stay humble.
Stay humble. And I love that. And it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Give us your website one more time in case there are listeners who maybe have a chunk of money that they want to start putting into syndication and having it grow for them. So what is a good way for them to find that?
Yeah, so our website's hbgcapital.net. That's Harry, Bob, Gary, capital.net. We've got a ton of free resources. There's a book, Recession Resistant Passive Income, kind of outlines our whole investment strategy. We've got a book, 100 Questions Passive Investors Should Be Asking Before Investing. You can grab that. That's a great resource. So our goal is to really try to educate you on what you're getting into before you invest. If you're interested in scheduling an introductory call with us, again, that link's on the website, or you can send us an email to info@hbgcapital.net. We look forward to getting to know you.
Well, thank you, Brandon. And that is all. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.